Welcome to Go Well, Live Better. We've got a very special guest here today. I'm going to let him introduce himself, and we're going to get to some good recovery talk.
Hey guys, first off, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it. Everything that you've done for me here in the recovery center, but this is a first for me, so hopefully I can provide some good information. My name's Tristan De Jong, number 7 for the Greenville Swamp Rabbits. I'm technically a full-time professional hockey player in my first rookie season, so first full season after graduating from the University of Guelph up in Canada. And part-time, I'm a mental and physical performance coach. So everything that I've learned throughout my career of junior to pro, working with lots of professionals and specialists, and everything I've learned from my own degree in human kinetics and a bit of neuroscience as well, I'm now giving back to the younger generation. So I work with athletes 11 years old up to 21 years old, junior college athletes, and basically we work on the mental performance side of the game. That's
Nice.
a big one, especially in season. So I'm still working with some clients virtually from Canada. And on top of that, in the summer, we're getting the physical performance going, whether that's on ice or off ice in the gym as well.
Nice.
So that's
Very
kind of
nice.
me in a nutshell. Yeah.
Good. I love to see you pay it forward. We talked about it earlier that even if one kid sees something like this and they learn they can do some recovery stuff, maybe that kid, instead of stopping his sport of choice or her sport of choice in high school or younger than that, maybe they go on to college, and maybe the ones that go on to college, maybe they get into the pros, last a little longer in the career they love so much. So let me ask you, as a pro athlete and a performance coach, what are your go-to recovery stuff? Like, what's your either pregame or just your go-to recovery stuff that you normally do?
Well, I think in a world of media, you could say 100 different things.
Yeah.
And I think part of the problem is people try to do 100 different things. But for me, my basics are sleep and nutrition.
That's two good basics.
That's what you start with. I think in order to be a pro, you can't overcompensate with all these little gadgets when you're not sleeping and you're not eating. I know that's what every parent says, and that's what your coaches say, but it's true. And then once you have the foundation of the pyramid, which is those, so you get your 8 hours, and that's not just 8 hours in bed with a phone. That's a good sleep for 8 hours, and you're doing your pre-night routine. So big one for me is the routines that lead up to that as well. Good sleep, good nutrition. So that could be meal prepping or just having an idea of what I'm doing with my nutrition on a day-to-day basis. And then after that, I like to stack all the extra stuff. So that'll be supplements probably first. After that, that might be some recovery methods in here. So for example, the massage, Normatex. On a game day, I do tend to do a little compression in the morning. After a good night's sleep, a couple meals, and we can dive into that a little deeper.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's good. And that's the two things you mentioned, nutrition and sleep are the two foundations. And it's if you get that, everything else becomes easy. I find that a lot of times people tend to look for that easy button a little bit. Often the easy button is the hard work, just the fundamentals of it, But yeah, you mentioned like your pregame routine. Let's walk through there, because I know every one of you guys has your own very unique pregame routine.
Yeah, I think mine kind of starts the day before with that meal the night before. So that will be at least 3 to 4 hours before I get to bed, because I don't want to disrupt that sleep and eat too close to bedtime. Usually it's a nice steak. I like to treat myself the night before a game. It's kind of like that gearing up excitement with some sweet potatoes. So you get a good carb and protein ratio, and then you get your greens in there. So I get a salad or spinach or whatever's there on the side. And then I like to aim for 9 to 10, because that makes sure that I'm at least getting a good 8 hours in bed. We usually get up, and on game days, if we're at home, we have a pregame skate. So we'll be at the rink around 8:45 to 9 a.m. Eat a lighter breakfast so that during my skate, after my skate, I'm getting a little hungrier. Some guys, they don't eat till 1, 2 p.m. Some guys only have one meal. Some people have two. I like to split it up into 3 to 4 meals pregame. Naturally, just kind of, I'm a little bit of a bigger build. If I don't have enough on a game day, I feel it in that third period. So I do like a 8-4-2-1 rule, where 8 hours before, we got a heavier kind of breakfast. 4 hours before, We're just doing like a medium portion size, but we're still getting more carbs, a little bit of protein. I'm trying to stay away from a lot of fat because that can lead into the game.
Yeah, for sure.
And then 2 hours before, that's going to be a light carb snack. So that could be at the rink. That's going to be some sort of bagel, toast with jam or peanut butter. And then the 1 hour before, I like to think of my glucose drinks, electrolytes with glucose. And that way it's not technically a meal, but it's something that I consider as
use it as fuel.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. And that kind of keeps you fueled up all the way through. And like you mentioned earlier, then you've got enough sufficient energy to get through third period.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah. I think a lot of people that maybe don't know your side underestimate how much energy you guys put out there, especially in by the time third period comes rolling around. Yeah. It's a tough one.
Yeah. I've worn some fitness trackers, and I know they're not exactly 100% correct.
Yeah.
But calorically, I think in a game you can build upwards of 2,500 to $3,000 in a game.
Yeah.
And then you have to eat that right back after.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
3 and 3. So.
Yeah. It always blows me away that, like in the AT room where we have the weigh in, weigh out charts. Yeah. I know a bunch of years ago we had an assistant AT that she put it up there, but it was a project of hers, but everybody would weigh in, weigh out before a game. And the amount of weight that you lose during a game, also insane, and I always felt like the goalies probably lose a little more.
They do. Yeah. I've actually seen some studies with, we were doing one in University of Guelph. There was a nutritionist that was working for the Chicago Blackhawks.
Okay. Yeah.
But he was mainly focused on nutrition, and we were doing nutrition tests with my university team.
Okay.
But it was all based on hydration, because the weight that you're seeing is lost is all
for
mostly
sure.
water weight.
Yep.
And hockey players are one of the most dehydrated sports.
Yeah.
Just because of the work you do out there, and then you're not focusing. You could be on the bench for 30 seconds. You're not focusing necessarily on getting the hydration, but you have to put in almost a cup, if not 2 cups, every time you're off the ice. And people don't know that. And then the goalies, they're just sitting there.
Oh, yeah.
Standing for the whole game. So that's even more. Yeah.
It's always, very interesting to see on the behind the scenes side, especially on the pro stuff. I think a lot of people will say, it'd be great to be a pro, I'm like, okay, well, be careful what you wish for. There's a lot more work in there than you think, it's not just and I see it on the combat sports side too. A lot of our combat sport people, they see some of these, and you guys make it, you've been doing this probably almost your whole life. Mm-hmm. So you make it look easy. And then the average guy is like, yeah, I can join a beer league. I got that, and they get 2 shifts in and they're like, I'm going to die.
Yeah. No, honestly, it takes a lot more. But like you said, I think it kind of becomes second nature at some point.
Yeah.
So when people know the right things to do,
yeah,
it's a little easier. It takes away that mental friction. And there's no better way to figure that out than the people that are actually doing it.
And that's important to note too, because you guys all have your very own routine that works for you. And if you didn't have that routine, it's not a flight by the seat of your pants type of a thing. You're not going to get the performance you want. You're more susceptible to injury then. You're more susceptible to exhaustion. It's harder. Your life is already hard enough on the ice without some type of structure or routine that you can follow where you don't have to think all the time. You can just lean into it.
So,
yeah. Well, okay. So other than the pregame food and rest, which is huge, what are your favorite, have been your favorite recovery hacks or tricks? And they could be stuff that you go someplace, or they can be stuff that you found that works at home or wherever.
Yeah. I tend to not do a lot at home, like in terms of the stretching. A lot of people might think that, athletes are always doing stuff at home, but I tend to use that as kind of my off time.
Yeah.
And that gives me a lot of ability to recharge, so that when I'm at the rink, that's where I'm doing my on time. So stretching happens at the rink after any time I'm on the ice. That's practice or a game. Obviously, you need a proper warm up.
Yeah.
But when I'm at the rink, usually after that pregame skate, I do really like compression.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of just gets that blood flow out, making sure that there's nothing stuck there in terms of a byproduct that I'm taking into the game. I'll use cold exposure once in a while if I feel like I'm in a bit of a stretch of games, the body's really taking a beating, or there's some lingering injuries. I wouldn't say that's necessarily my favorite.
Yeah, compression is one of my favorites too. You said it. If you have circulation, you're doing all right. So let's talk a little bit about the neuro stuff. So the Mendy, the racetrack, and the red light. So we do the red light helps with the reduction of inflammation, helps with pushing oxygen into the mitochondria, give your cellular health a little bit of a boost. The Mendy, for those of you guys out there listening that don't know, that's a neurofeedback device. So you kind of play a game a little bit, but it helps with concentration for sure. It can be frustrating at times, I think, but it gives you a lot of good metrics like oxygen to the prefrontal cortex. And then the racetrack we're talking about is we got a laser headlamp and a little bit of a F1 racetrack taped up on the wall. And we time it, how many laps and how many faults. And so every time the laser goes outside the boundaries of the tape is a fault. And we do all those three to kind of add together some dual tasking brain stuff to help heal the brain part of the concussion, the brain injury, the physical stuff, the chiropractic stuff for your neck and other physical stuff is great for your body. But if we don't heal your brain as well, we tend to see a lot more incidences of injury and reoccurrence and length of time in that injured state as well. And if we're challenging the brain and recovering efficiently, we should be able to fix the body and the brain at the same time so that when you come back to it, you're a little bit better off, less likely to re-injure, and hopefully the game seems a little slower to you. You know, and I know from a combat sport end and from the hockey end that the guys and the gals that continue that therapy and they get better and better and better, not only mentally, but physically, you know, and they can really kind of hit the gas pedal of however long or successful that career is going to go to, you know? Sure. So out of those three things, what's your favorite one?
I'd like to say my favorite one's the Mendy just because I can get the stats in real time. And it's kind of crazy being able to control something on your phone with your brain.
Yeah.
Still trying to figure that out. That's why it can be a little frustrating sometimes. It's like I'm so zoned in, the ball's dropping on me.
Yeah.
But that would be my favorite. Red light if you're just needing to relax.
Yeah.
But I have a hard time relaxing. That's a problem.
Yeah. Well, that's also, I mean, that's true with a lot of pro athletes, you know. I think you're regimented. So you're always, what's next, you know? Yeah. And then it's the course of what you do. I mean, it's not like the regular people out there have to go to the store and worry about some 200-pound dude slapping them into the boards, you know? Right. So you do live a little sympathetically, nervous system wise, like you probably feel like the tiger's chasing you at all times a little bit, you know,
especially when you're on the ice. Yeah.
Imagine, you know, that I would say Mendy is my, although I am a big fan of the dual tasking brain stuff with the F1 racetrack that we do, but Mendy, that is, again, I can see the results right there, but man, that's also my most frustrating one, you know, because again, if you lose concentration even for a second, you know, I mean, there it goes. And I'm like, Tom, you know, we're all driven to, I want that score. I want that goal. All right. Well, so I know you have a background in some neurology stuff and some body performance stuff. Did you run into anything similar to that or other type of therapies or services or anything like that kind of go along with that, like helping the brain heal?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I basically started the mental performance route in my own endeavors in terms of my business during COVID. And that was because of my unconventional path kind of as an athlete in hockey. I struggled in my first year at junior playing. So, you know, any other 16, 17, 18-year-old that kind of played the year that I did, they might take a decline after that and start thinking about different career paths. Yeah. But I was able to actually work with a mental performance coach. He was a psychologist, a professor of psychology out of the University of Waterloo. And he got me right back on track. And that was basically just trusting my identity. And we had a bunch of different things that we worked on. But we basically just simplified my game and to a point where I could be most confident in my skills and not try to overcomplicate things. And I think that's something you might see in the younger generation right now is they have all this input of highlights and that's all they see for the whole game and realize, oh, that amount of plays, making steps in the mental game.
Okay.
People were actually, you know, giving you get the nutrition services, you get the mental side, you get the strength and conditioning coaches. And I had all 4 years of junior just elevating my game on the mental side. And then I put together during COVID, unfortunately, at the kind of peak of my junior career, my first NHL interview happened. And that same day, COVID shut down our league. So at the peak, I kind of had to figure out what am I doing now. I was still able to play a little during COVID. I really had a lot of these younger athletes from the area I was playing at. They were coming to me and they're like, "Hey, what do you do for your strength workouts? Like, we're in our gym right now and we can't go anywhere."
Yeah.
Then I just got back and COVID's ending and I just got back into my tryouts. Do you have any mental tips? I was like, oh, okay, well, actually, I do have a whole surplus of this information that I could put together for you. And that turned into the program, which I now offer for young athletes. I work with like 4 to 5 weekly right now that they kind of do one a week, or sometimes it's bi-weekly. Some people are just on a monthly check-in to make sure the oil, I like to call it the oil change. The Ferrari, the oil change is there, because you don't want to do that when your oil's at 0%.
For sure.
I guess if we want to get into it, my 5 pillars for athletes starts with the identity.
Okay.
Because I think before you get into anything else, you need to know and understand what you can offer as an athlete.
For sure.
So that was the first thing I worked on. That's the first thing I want my athletes to work on. And then from there, we work on routines, because like you said, that's a big part of taking mental friction out of the game and making sure you're confident in what you're getting and doing on a daily basis, and making sure that if you're in the mind gym as much as you're on the physical gym, things are going to work for you. That's what we came up with. I'm certified as a mental performance coach, but I'm still working toward, that master's, that bigger picture thing, you know.
Absolutely.
We'll see what the career is after that, but I want it to be.
Well, I mean, you're ahead of the pack. Talking about like the mind gym, the visualization. I mean, when I played box lacrosse, that's where I was introduced to it. Yeah. But it's such a massive thing. Yeah. There's a study out there that they took a couple of, I believe they were collegiate football players, 3 guys, broken legs, if I remember, or broken arms, but I think it was a broken leg. And one of them, they told him, hey, just do the normal recovery. Don't do much, we'll see you when we see you. The second guy, they told him, don't do anything. And the third guy, they were like, every day, I want you to go into a room, turn the lights down low, get comfortable, but I want you to close your eyes and I want you to walk through every step of your practice, every step of your workout. You're just going to be sitting there, but in your mind, you're going to do it. And so after the legs were healed, I think, and they take all the casts off and they start looking at it. And the guy that did the regular stuff showed atrophy, a loss of muscle mass, and some speed and stuff like that. The guy that did nothing, a lot of atrophy. But the guy that did his mental gym didn't lose anything. As a matter of fact, gained. And he was a little bit faster when he came back. And it's the power of the mind, So where can kids, athletes, where can they find you?
Yeah, I mean, my brand and business is called Transform a Trip. So you can find on Instagram, Transform.
Okay.
That's the word W Trip. That's where I got a lot of my or the forefront of social media. I'm doing stuff online with athletes. So if they needed a way to work out that isn't just in the gym pushing weights, but actually like an athlete, that's the biggest thing that changes young athletes' transformation on the ice. And then supplementing that with some mental performance. I have a base level understanding of nutrition that I offer as well, not as a certified nutritionist, but
just
if a kid was wondering, I could be like, hey, this is things that I've heard. Do your own research, but this is things that
collegiate and professional athletes, I think you guys have been around enough experts to pick up a couple of stuff, 100%. Although you might not be a registered nutritionist, you've been around some pretty high level stuff, and I'm sure you do know some stuff that can help out some.
We have, all the information. If you work with 3 nutritionists and they're all saying similar things, you're like, hey,
this is what works. Yeah. And then if you're using it and it does work, okay, this is what worked for me. Very nice. All right. So last but not least, before we let you get out of here, if you had to give a tip to a kid, and I don't care any age, athlete, any sport, whatever, how could they live their dream or play their sport at a higher level, like that would mean something or impact them and give them a leg up?
Yeah, I think there's so many answers to that question, but it kind of rolls back to the start, what I talked about, and it's you can't really shortcut or put a Band-Aid on things that, you're not doing properly. So I think as much as you put 100% effort or care into your on-ice performance and your on-ice training, and honestly, nowadays it's kind of overtraining for some kids, maybe even this is for the parents, but as much as you're putting the effort and the care into that on-ice performance and training and extra reps, you could probably take 50% of that and put 10% into your sleep and nutrition and see 100% of a different result. So that math you probably can't really follow, but
that's all right.
If you put enough care into the extracurricular things and not try to shortcut it or band-aid it with unconventional recovery methods. Focus on what you need to, and that, like I said, sleep, nutrition, hydration. Performance will naturally increase, and on top of that, that's when you'll notice the biggest incline from those extra icing cake recovery methods, which still work, but they won't work as well.
It won't work as well, right?
Coming in and your eyes can't even open.
That's great advice. I tell almost all of my chiropractic patients, or any patients, anybody, athletes or otherwise, that the healing comes in between the visits. That's the true healing. And so you got to get to your fundamentals. So things like sleep, nutrition, hydration for sure for athletes. Yeah, if you're not starting there, you're starting in a deficit. So that's good, man. That's good. Well, listen, thanks for coming on. We will we'll put all of his information in the notes to this if you're interested. I strongly suggest you look up my friend here and start getting your game back on. So yeah, man, thanks for coming in.
Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, no worries. All right. Well, everybody, we'll talk to you next time. Thanks, man.
That was good.
Appreciate it.